Chat. Welcome to the Freak Files.
10 months, punk.
Making your job harder. How? I just made the music not show up in the VOD. So in case you're not aware, about a month ago, I tweeted out a Google form asking for you to share your bad date experiences with me. And it took me forever. What actually took us, it took us a while to figure out how we wanted to do it. But we have something really cool for you guys. So yeah, we could have just looked at the Google form submissions and looked at white text and stuff like that. But that's not as fun. Yeah. How do I want to do this? This is an actual client, yeah. This music's very fitting, actually. You compliments.
More freak time.
More chat. Ew. The fuck's going on with that? Why is it so thick? There you go. Damn, chat, you thick. I really should be doing this on my default overlay. I should probably be making my own overlay for this, but whatever. It's too late. We'll figure it out. Eventually. No, I don't want it to do that. Let's start with this and see what happens, man. I need some Morpheus glasses. That's a good idea. Hold on.
I'm in freaks.
I'm in. Let's see what you guys are up to. It's time to access the freak files.
Hype.
I have to mute alerts though. Willy Wonka. It's time to access the freak files. I'm in. Let's see our entries. First of all, select category. Bad dates. It's time to see what we got. Subject 1. Harry Potter fanfic. What an awful start, to say the least. Jesus Christ. I need to... Is this... Do you think... Ooh, this might work way better. I invited this girl to my house as a friend... as a first date. And I asked her what she liked to do in her free time. First mistake. She said, Wattpad. I was interested in what she meant by that. So she pulled up Harry Potter, a Harry Potter one, on her phone and started reading it. This was not just a normal fanfic, but a self-insert smut fanfic about Draco and Snape, and it was detailed. We broke up a week after that. Understandable. Out loud? Also, a week? That happened and you let it, like 7 more days passed? And you were like, eh. I mean, maybe it's like kind of a hobby. You know, maybe it's like sort of her free time. Not like all of it. It started to get weird when she pulled out the second fanfic. Are you guys still friends? Did you hear it and you were just like, didn't think about what you had heard for a bit? And then like a week later, you were like, wait a minute. Let's move on. This is awful. This is already awful. My date ended up being my uncle. Excuse me? What? Pardon? I met this guy online and we really hit it off. We had so much in common and even lived in the same town. I confessed my feelings for him after 3 months of nonstop talking to him, and he felt mutual. He asked me out on a date, and I agreed. We was meeting at this restaurant, so I was on my way walking, and I saw my uncle and a head. I said hi to him and asked where he was going. He said he was going to the restaurant I was going to, and I was like, ha 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 ha. What a coincidence. I said I was on a date, and he said, oh, me too. And I froze and was like, wait, is he? But I shoved it out of my mind, and we walked and talked for a bit until we got there. And I said, good luck on your date. We both waited until he said, who are you meeting? And I said, this guy online, his name is Jackson. And then he froze. We looked at each other and realized, and we haven't spoke since. Whoa. Haven't spoke? That's crazy. Guys. Whoa. Clearly he was using a fake name online, yeah. Catfished by your own uncle. By accident. How are you guys talking, though? You guys didn't see? You know, I don't want to know the details. Some of these details are already a little too much for my liking, so. Next one. We just keep going. We just keep spiraling, don't we? We just keep going. Title. I love feet. This happened with my first longer relationship when I was a junior in high school. We had been dating for some time, and I was ready to say the 3 magic words to them. Abracadabra. One day we were hanging out alone. They went, I have something I want to tell you. I was expecting an I love you. Boy, I was wrong. I beat them to the punch and said, I love you too. And they went, oh, I wanted to tell you I have a foot fetish. I was in complete disbelief and embarrassed as hell. Needless to say, the relationship dissolved quickly after that. No! Imagine being at such an emotional peak that you're like, I love you. And they're like, so I'm into feet. Wow. I wonder, okay, so I wonder if it's like more because of the foot thing or because of the way he responded. Because like, whew, that's rough. Yeah, instead of also like reciprocating that, he was like, I like feet. What's happening? Ether, what have you done? Oh, we're good. Ether told me I could scroll. Sorry, the freak files are getting attacked for a second. Oh shit. Hacking mainframe. Establishing peer-to-peer port connection. Accessing database. Wikifeek.com. I'm in. Oh! The hammer didn't like making fun of feet. That's okay. I have super glue. With the arrow keys. What do you mean? Oh. I mean, next entry. Bro, I did not break it. It's just sitting here and it fell off. Plus ratio. What do you guys want from me? It's next question or next entry. The intrusive thoughts 1. Was at Olive Garden with a cute dude, told him I'd eat his ass and he threw up. What a coward. Next entry. The salad cream incident. What? Oh my God, there's so much of it. A few years ago, he/they, was online dating someone, she/her, in the UK. I'm originally from the US and was living there at the time. I was in the UK for a month and was really excited to go meet up with her and finally spend some time with her IRL so we could see how well we actually got on. I don't like how this is going. British people are involved. Terrible start. She decided we'd just go to Spoons for a casual first date. Don't know what the fuck that is. And I was more than cool with that option. So we sit down, we get some food, and things are going super well. I noticed a bottle of Heinz salad cream. Salad cream? What the fuck is a salad cream? Like dressing? Why the fuck? Why are you calling it cream? Oh, can you pass the salad cream? Yeah, the salad cream, yeah. What? What are you talking about? The bottle is labeled salad cream. Can you pass the ranch cream, please? Yeah. Pass the ranch cream. Oh God, I smacked my mic. Salad ointment. Anyway, let's continue. I noticed a bottle of Heinz salad cream on the table and wanted to taste it since I've never tasted it before. I squeezed a little bit out on my finger and tasted it, and it was oddly familiar and wanted to taste it again. I went to put more on my finger, but when I squeezed the bottle, the cap popped off the top launching about half of the bottle of salad cream into my hand. I absolutely panic. Full, what do I do? No, really. No, wait, what do I do? No, really. No, stop laughing. What do I do? To my date, who is absolutely fucking wheezing at me, which is fair. She tells me just to eat the handful of garbage, which was not about to happen. So I just ran to the bathroom with half the people in the pub staring at me. Got weird looks from some girls in the bathroom too. I creamed. Long story short, we broke up, but we're still good friends. Curiosity killed my relationship, but it was funny, so it's okay. Oh, I've got cream on my hands. I've got cream all over my hands. What do I do? Wait, that boy cummed on himself, yeah? Way. Oi, jolly good time you had over there, yeah? My hair's doing some weird shit today, man. I don't know what it's doing. I'm just gonna do this. Next entry. Blind date featuring the wrong person. My friends had set me up for a blind date since they were concerned for my loneliness. Rude. And I accepted because they had been bugging me about it for a while. I went out with a guy who was very nice and was very insistent that he pay for everything. He took me on a ferry and kept joking about pushing me in the sea and asking me if I was a decent swimmer. I can see me in the glasses. Hey, I'm me. We ended up on a pretty remote island where this man proceeded to talk about how far away the police were and how police response time was very bad since the roads are very narrow. Excuse me? At that point, I started getting really nervous and scared, as you should. I thought I was going to get unalived. We talked some more, and I end up finding out that he was 5 years older than me. At the time, I had just turned 18. Kind of weird. I got my brother to pick me up since I was terrified. I asked my friends about it, and it turns out I went on a date with a stranger, and they thought I stood the blind date up. What the fuck is that thing that keeps happening on the screen when I do this? Get this out of here. Stop flickering in my face. So he just went along with it? He just was like, okay. Anyways, me and the real blind date have been dating for 2 years now, and it's a great story to tell people when they ask how we got together. Yay. Wow, though. There's a big ass beetle on my window. Blocking their signals. blocking them from attacking me. Counterattack proceeding. Entering government database. Leaking moon landing hoax. Finding out if jet fuel actually melts steel beams. I'm in. Next entry. Very creepy. 10 out of 10. Would not do again. I met this guy online. He lived in my city, and we talked a few times about some meaningless things. One night, he asked me out, and I didn't have any interest in him, but said yes out of boredom. Casual. I mean, it could go into something. So we met up at a bar, went inside, sat down, and had a couple of drinks. It was going fine until he started calling me his kitten and telling me he wanted to lock me up and never let me out. Well, actually, I think I would be a really good boyfriend. Well, let's just say I have a place for you. Oh, he would put me into his basement and not feed me if I did something bad. Didn't even hit that part. After he finished talking, didn't want him to hurt me. I said I had to use the bathroom, but then went and talked to the security they had there. He is now in jail for murder. Well, let's just say I'm incarcerated. Next entry. The Ford Fiesta fiasco. Wow, what an alliteration. I love that. Okay, so something to know about me is when I get nervous, I blabber about anything. And it was my first date with a guy I really liked. He took me out in his car and we went to get ice creams. Probably not the best idea in hindsight, considering we're both lactose intolerant, but that dairy grind do be popping off. Anyway, we were parking up to get petrol. British jump scare. And I was feeling hella nervous. And I was talking about cars, which I know nothing about. And I said, as a joke, you can tell someone has a small cock because they own a Ford Fiesta. And he laughed, but got really quiet afterwards. He got out of the car to fill it up, and I looked at the dashboard, and I noticed that he had a Ford fucking Fiesta. See, listen, that would have made me laugh, considering I would have assumed you knew the car I was in. I wanted to curl up in a hole and hide. I mean, I apologized for it and said that I blabber and make crappy jokes when I'm nervous. He said it was fine and laughed it off. See, it would have made me laugh immediately on the spot. I would have made a joke back, but it's fine. You know what, though? We'll finish the story first. I found out 2 weeks later. I found out 2 weeks later that I was right about the small cock Ford Fiesta owners. to scroll down to get to the punchline like it was a comedic bit. Oh man. I guess I know why he didn't laugh then. Guys, I had a moment like this with Hannah really early on of us dating, where we were just sitting in her apartment, and for some reason I was just like, you know what's really strange to me? It's really strange to me how somebody can birth a child into this world, and out of all the names in the world, they pick Gerald. And I was like, it's just such a weird, funny name to me. And was like, yeah, that's my dad's name. I love it. True story. Shout out to Gerald. He's a great man. Yeah, it's a true story. I didn't mean it in like a, I hate the name. I just think it's a funny name. I think it's a very interesting name. Yeah. I mean, he's my father-in-law now, so like, he was okay with it. Next entry. The Pant Ruiner. Terrible start. I was on a first date with a guy I really liked, and it was going great. We had just eaten some Thai food, and we were walking around the town, just talking, having a good time. Bit of context. I'm an anxious person, and my ass likes to blow up when I'm in nerve-wracking situations. Like this one, but I had never had an issue with it before. It was always manageable. While walking around the town, my ass decided to roll the dice, and it was either a fart or a small shit stream, and I genuinely couldn't tell which it was gonna be. I had no idea what this man was saying because I was so fucking focused on holding in everything so hell wouldn't be unleashed on my favorite pair of jeans. Alas, my body decided for me, and I couldn't hold it any longer. And without being too graphic, my pants were wet, but it was hideable. Somehow, it didn't smell bad, or he didn't say anything, and I must have been just water, because I was able to finish our walk, convince him to go to my apartment, and change my pants/underwear without him noticing anything was wrong. The date finished and all was well, and we are still together. But I will never tell him this story. Hopefully he won't hear this rip. Changed your pants mid. Have you ever heard that change blindness effect though? It's a psychological experiment. People can like swap the person they're talking to mid conversation, even if they're distracted enough, they won't even notice. Won't even say anything. Freak File's getting crazy. Maybe he's just was so enamored by you he didn't want to acknowledge the smell of shit. Or maybe you know what? You know what the twist is? Maybe he shit himself. Maybe he also shit himself. And also, did he use the bathroom as well? Maybe he also maybe he burnt his underwear alive while you were in the bathroom. Maybe he threw it out the window. You went into the bathroom and he did that move from Zoolander where Hans goes in his pants. He's like, and he pulls out his underwear and he fuck, threw it out the window. Alive, yeah. Bro, you have a nuclear enough blast in that thing. That thing's definitely gonna say something. Next entry. Ex-boyfriend got robbed in daylight while on a date. In high school, me and my former boyfriend would always go on a date once a week after classes. That day was a more stressful one since we did a test and both of us didn't know how well we did. But for distraction, we went in this lovely park nearby that was known to be a very good point to meet up with people. Most of the date went well. We were still in knowing each other. We were still in the knowing each other better era. So it was cool and chill until this man approached us. He seemed like a normal guy and he wasn't much older than us, so we weren't alarmed. But then he said, "Excuse me, ma'am. It's nothing to do with you. It's with him." And he pointed at my boyfriend. "Give me your phone." Now, I thought it was a joke because why would a thief be so polite to me and ask very nicely to someone to give their phone? But my ex surprised me when he did give the phone without questioning. And when the man went away holding his phone, he looked at me and said, "I was robbed." What the bro, I never laughed so hard. It was the most gentle and kind crime I've ever witnessed. The guy even called me ma'am and walked away like it was just a normal day. In the end, my ex got pissed at me, rightfully so, because I think I laughed so much at him for just giving away his phone. I think I might have hurt his feelings a little. He didn't even question it. He just gave it away? I mean, I feel like I would at least ask why. Maybe he was supposed to like stand up to him and look heroic in front of you, but then got cold feet. How did he break up with you if he didn't have his phone? Or how did you break up with him? I guess I don't know which. Did you send him a parcel? Dearest weak bitch. Next entry. What? Oh no. What? Oh boy. TLDR. Hardcore DNF shipper and faked Tourette's. Whoa. Wild start. When I first started dating this girl, she was super chill and nice and stuff. Known her for a few years beforehand and finally decided, fuck it. What's the worst that could happen if I just, die? So one of our first dates, we're at her house for a sleepover because what else was there to do in the middle of December? I walk into her room, not surprised to see a couple pride flags and a L'Manberg flag hanging around the place. We chat, yada yada. I don't care about the details of her, whatever. And she decides to show me some things she had made. Now, I love seeing what other people create, but then she pulled out a pair of Vans with Dream and George painted on it and DNF in bright red on the heels. Yeah. Anyways, I was like, "Oh, sick. Didn't know you had those." And she smiled and then pulled out a sketchbook. Every page was just DNF, nothing but DNF. Like, not even a joke. Whoa. So now I was just silently uncomfortable. The nail in the coffin, though, is when she shouted beans and then immediately went, oops, sorry, it's my Tourette tics. My soul died a little in that moment. And what sucked was I couldn't just leave because there was no one to pick me up. I was just stuck there. Also, bonus, after I left the next day, she immediately decided to start telling people I was being bitchy towards her. This escalated to her trying to spread rumors about me when we broke up. Exciting. 1 out of 10 date. The only good thing was the cat. Wow. Cat clutched up for that 1 point. Next entry. Sweet Home Alabama. Excuse me? So my friend was like, why no bitches? I love the way some of these people wrote their submissions. It's exactly how I talk. I know someone you'd like, and I was like, no, but she convinced me because she said we would match super well, and he's extremely hot. Spoiler, he was not. And he plays video games and watches the same shows I like and stuff. It was a blind date, so I didn't knew the person before. In the restaurant, I just said my friend's name because she booked for us, and the waitress leads me to that guy. Well, he was my step bro. Turns out the reason we watch the same shows and play the same games is we introduce them to each other. We stared at each other for like 10 seconds without saying anything. Extremely awkward. Especially because I went to him earlier that day and asked for date advice. But we had an amazing date and laughed so bad at it. Also, this was the way we came out to each other because we both didn't know that the other liked guys. Oh, that's kind of sweet. That's very wholesome. Anthony. Still can't believe my friend said my brother is hot. Like, did she ever look at him? Anyways, bye. What the hell? Scott, what are you doing here? Well, I don't know. Why are you at my booth? Did you see me from afar? I was supposed to meet somebody. What's their name? Well, I don't know. My friend said it. Set it up. Oh, good. The Piss Pants Saga. Can I help you? Oh. Okay. Hannah's stomach is bothering her. Everybody give hearts to Hannah. Does she feel better? Let's read the Piss Pants Saga. I had gone on a first date to a local park with a girl I had met the week prior. We had bought some snacks and a pack of Cokes and had a makeshift picnic of sorts. All was well and it was very enjoyable. For context of this story, I am very clumsy and both of us were slightly tired as it was nearing the end of the week. While talking, I was waving my arms around to express my point and accidentally spilt Coke all down her shorts. In the summer heat in public. To any passerby, frankly, it looked like she had pissed her pants. To make things even worse, in her sudden standing, she in turn knocked her Coke onto my shorts, making us both appear to have pissed ourselves. To put it shortly, we were both mad and embarrassed at ourselves and each other. Together, we both waddled back to my house next to a busy road with wet patches on the crotches of our shorts. We got several odd looks and she and I never spoke again. This is the first time I've ever told this story, and if my friends are watching, you can't judge me. That's amazing. What a bonding experience. She didn't talk to you ever again? What a coward. True love is when matchy piss pant. Next entry. Making lemonade out of lemons. I went on a date with this girl a few times before, and things were going really well. This was the third date, and we went to main event. I don't know what that means. And I got her a big stuffed animal, and it was all great. Is this another British jump scare? It's a big arcade place. Oh no, it's like David Buster's. It's in America. Okay, we're safe. Never mind. Everything's fine. Nobody panic. I got her a big stuffed animal and it was all great. Then she invited me over to her place. When we got there, there was another car in the driveway. She immediately told me it was her roommates without even saying anything. We get inside and we are just watching TV, and then this guy comes in who is visibly upset. They start arguing and I just sit there awkwardly. I interjected when she started to throw things at him and asked what was going on. It turns out they were married and had a kid who was sleeping in the other room. I decided to leave because at this point I felt as if this wasn't my business. Yeah, maybe a little bit. And I head for the door and the guy stops me and asks me some questions about the dates and everything I did with her. After answering, we exchanged numbers and I left. The next morning, he informs me that he and the baby have left and he is moving back in with his parents until they can find a new place. I was told that there were 9 other guys that the woman was seeing behind his back, me being one of them. We got some lunch together and talked it all over and figured out we have a lot in common. To this day, we are great friends and I babysit his kid while he's at work sometimes. Him and his wife got divorced and he won custody of the child, so happy ending. Aw. I mean, that is horrendous, but what a W. What a W for him. Plus friendship. Love that. I hope they're still doing well. What a roller coaster. The way the title was placed and set up, I thought the guy was gonna... I thought you guys were gonna end up together somehow. Never mind. I'm just sappy like that. It's fine. The time I got a foot show in the middle of a restaurant. What? During my senior year, I met this boy on a sports team. He was new and a year younger than me, so I was slightly intimidated by him since I am somewhat openly gay. I was surprised to see that this certain boy was so open to becoming friends with me. He was a little on weird side, but I didn't think much of it since I wasn't in any place to judge at the time. 2 months passed and he asks me out on a dinner date. I thought he meant as friends till he showed up at my door with a rose and started complimenting me very heavily. We went to one of those restaurants where you order ingredients and cook for yourselves, which I loved. Keep in mind, we are both in a booth type situation and sitting right next to each other because he insisted in doing so. It was nice at first. He was super nervous, I could tell, but he managed during our whole meal. I cooked for him and he cooked for me, etc. After we ordered dessert and our bill, he turns to me and asks me very seriously, "Have you ever considered being a feet model?" I was so confused that I laughed, but he looked a little offended, so I stopped and said no. He started touching my legs and my knees a lot, which I didn't mind until he then continued on and said, "Your feet are so sexy, I could suck them in the car if you'd let me." At this moment, I wasn't sure if he was just playing with me or if this whole date idea was a prank, or if this dude genuinely had a foot fetish. Then he takes off his shoes and puts his feet on the little uprise of the table where the grill is, like if he was putting them on display. And he says, "See, mine aren't as attractive, but they're still super sexy." I laughed a little and agreed, then excused myself to the bathroom and ended up walking out of the restaurant for a smoke. Don't smoke, kids. I sent him the money for my side of the bill, to which he called me and very embarrassingly admitted that he didn't have any money. So I sent more and covered the whole bill on my own and ignored his messages after that. Wait, so he asked you on the date, but couldn't pay? And asked to suck your toes in the middle of it? Nah, bro. I felt so fed up and weirded out that I just ended up walking home. At school, he would ignore me all the time and eventually dropped out of the sports team we were in together. I never found out if the date was a bad joke or not, but I've heard he has a girlfriend now, so I think he's doing fine. I've graduated earlier this year, so he's long gone, but I'm still a little traumatized. Yeah, just a little bit. Wow. Yeah, well, I don't know. We could, like, after dinner, we could, I don't know, go to the car and I could suck your grippers. Just an idea. Just throwing it out there. Next entry. The one that gave me chlamydia and disappeared. English isn't my first language, so bear with me, no problem. Okay, so I met this guy through Tinder. We hit it off and chatted for a while. Technically, the first 2 dates went great. We talked, laughed, had a lot in common, and he told me he thought he had feelings for me, but that his ex cheated on him, so he was scared to commit fully at that moment. Kind of weird to say it then. I understood that. So we said we'd just date until he'd be sure. He even introduced me to his grandma, who he lived with. I had dinner with them. It was the 3rd time we saw each other in real life. We lived 2 hours apart and both had no license yet, so it was hard to see him often. He told me he really liked me, maybe even loved me, and was so sorry that he made it so difficult with his commitment issues. I'm pretty sure he even cried about it. Anyway, after a few hours of gaming and watching movies, one thing led to another. He didn't have a condom, and I was stupid enough to believe that he had always worn a condom with girls. and I was on the pill. So I thought one time without a condom in my life won't be a big deal. Spoiler alert, it was a big deal. After that date, he suddenly disappeared on vacation for 3 weeks. And guess who came back with a girlfriend? He did. I had a bad feeling, so I did an STD test, and on Valentine's Day, the results came back. Chlamydia. Of course, I called him to let him know, but he declined the calls. So I texted him. He texted back something along the lines of, "This is a shitty Valentine's Day present." So remember, please wear a condom at all times if you're not 1,000% sure of someone's sexual history. And even then, it's always better to wear one just to be sure. Don't be like me, kids. The gall for him to be like, how dare you? You're ruining my Valentine's Day. What the fuck? Next entry. The Little Slip. A few months ago, I was out on a date with somebody I'd gone out with a couple of times before. We went out to this pizza place, the edge of town. The pizza was greasy as fuck, but good. While me and this girl were talking, I had the sudden urge to fart and decided it would be fine to silently slip one out. It was not. I could feel the shit exit my ass. And I was fucking mortified. I sat there for a moment in just complete shock and excused myself to the restroom while trying to look as normal as you can after you just took a shit in front of your date and still need to shit. I slammed the bathroom door shut and took down my pants. You don't have to detail this, which apparently was a mistake because the urge to shit got even worse. And I accidentally shit some before I made it to the toilet. That was a true moment of bliss, being finally able to properly relive myself until I realized I'd made a fucking mess doing so. And I needed to clean it. I did my best, but I couldn't handle it all. What is happening? I was in there for so long and my date was still waiting for me, so I said fuck it and silently prayed for whoever the fuck had to clean up what remained. I said I had to leave early and paid the bill with a very nice tip. I hopped in my truck and never looked back. I've never talked to that girl again either. I just wanted to forget about that day altogether, but I still haven't. That poor janitor is like Eddie Murphy in fucking Daddy Daycare, where he's just like, man combusted in the bathroom. Wow. Next entry. The twist no one expected. Why do so many freaks got IBS? Because hot bitches got IBS. We know this. Anybody who's a freak is a hot bitch, and hot bitches got IBS. Because same. Except I handle that shit like a champ. I be out here pooping myself. The twist nobody expected. I was 18 at the time. I met this guy. For easier writing, I'll call him Dave. He was 20. Through my cousin's friend. They flew from another state for vacation and they were staying in my neighborhood. We talked a lot throughout the first 2 weeks of knowing each other. Then Dave asked me on a proper date. It was my first time that someone actually asked me somewhere, so I said yes. And we shared a lot of interests. David took me to the fancy restaurant and it was going great. We were having such fun talking and laughing. He paid for the food and went to the bathroom. I was waiting for him at our table when our waitress brought me a piece of cake. I got very confused because I never ordered it, and Dave certainly didn't order it either. I saw him like 15 seconds before entering the bathroom. The waitress told me that it was a gift for me from the girl who was sitting at the bar. I looked at her, still confused, and she pointed on her napkin. And then on the plate I received. I looked on it and saw a napkin with words written on it. She wrote that I am on a date with her boyfriend, who told her he is going on a fishing trip with the boys for a few weeks, a few states away. My jaw dropped. I got up from my chair, took the cake and the napkin with me, and approached the girl at the bar. She didn't need to say anything. She just showed me her lock screen. Oh my God. Same Dave I was on a date with, kissing the girl on the cheek. That moment I saw the lock screen, Dave got out of the bathroom and went to our table. When he spotted me at the bar, he smiled and approached me, not seeing his girlfriend sitting beside me. When he finally spotted her, his face got pale. He tried to explain himself to both of us, but I wasn't listening to him. I walked closer to him and slapped his face in front of a whole restaurant. His now ex-girlfriend took the cake and smushed it all over his stupid face. Then she asked me if I wanted to go somewhere else. I, without thinking, said yes, and we left Dave alone at the restaurant. We went on to the park and had a blast together. Fast forward few months, me and this girl ended up dating, and now after 4 years, we are engaged. After all, Dave's cheating ass brought me and the woman of my life together. What? Whoa. That's how I thought the other story was going to go. I can't believe 2 of these happened. Oh my God. That's crazy. Good for you. That's amazing. Next entry. A guy sharded on our first date, and then he told me I don't know if that cut off's on purpose or what. Me and this guy found each other through a friend. The friend tried setting us up because she thought we would look good together. Red flag. But I said no because I was enjoying my single life until one day she asked me again and I said, okay, fine. So we went on the date together and the guy seemed very nervous. I brushed it off thinking it was because he hadn't gone on a date in a while. We were mid-conversation until I heard him fart. That boy blasted it. He turned red and he started giggling. I didn't want him to feel bad because he did that, so I said that it was fine because I used to work as a student nurse. He excused himself to go to the restroom, and when he left, it started smelling bad. It started smelling bad that all the other tables started looking towards our table. Uh-oh. The guy came back after 5 minutes, and I also had to use the bathroom. I got up to go to the bathroom, and when I saw the seat was also wet, I already knew what it was, but I just ignored it. I felt bad because I thought he was just very nervous. I went back and he started apologizing and that it has been a while since he's been on a date, etc. I told him not to worry about it and that it happens to many people, as we've read. We both agreed that it wasn't a good date, LOL. So we decided to try again. Our second one was normal and it was fun. We both shared our first kiss together on our second date. Then after our third one, we were talking, he seemed nervous again. I asked him what's wrong. He blurted out that he was gay and that he found out that he was gay right after we shared our first kiss together because it didn't seem right to him. I was heartbroken, but I completely understood and said that it was all right because sometimes people don't know right away. He hugged me and thanked me before he left. He said he had to tell me one last thing. Uh-oh. He whispered into my ear and told me he had a crush on my brother. We are now best friends, and yes, I asked permission if I could share the story, and then he laughed and said that I can because he also thought it was funny and also a bad date. I like the idea that he saw the brother and was like, I can't do that. I'll just go after his sibling. And then he kisses her and he's like, nah, the brother. That's very sweet. It's kind of wholesome. Next entry. Grandma makes my date 1000% less bearable. When I was 20, my best friend set me up on a date with some guy she met at work. Terrible start. She got to pick where we went and what he did, or what we did. Unbeknownst to me, the location for the date was a nude beach. What the fuck? You can imagine my surprise when I arrived and my date is staring at me in utter horror, pointing to a naked old lady sunbathing behind us. You can also imagine my horror when the woman looks up to me and I realize it's my fucking grandma. I never spoke to the guy again, and that was how I came out as gay to her. Yeah, I mean, you don't really have a choice there, do you? What is with old people and going to a nude beach, man? Let that shit hang out in your own domicile, Mima. Everybody's begging you. Everybody. Like pretty much everybody. Next entry. I don't know how many more we got. His uncle was his hype man, and damn did he need it. That's a great title. This is a date I had in high school. We messaged online before meeting. Both of us were excited to see each other in person for the first time. We decided to go to the movies. Typical first date choice. The only typical thing about the date. I brought along a friend to hang out for the beginning as a safety buddy, and he brought his uncle. That man was the epitome of a sleazy hype man. My date brought some flowers and a gift, a sweet gesture. Meanwhile, the uncle is a few feet behind him, doing his best work as a wingman. He clapped and cheered, exclaiming, "Just look at that, not even married yet, and you're showering him with gifts. And what a great guy he is, huh? Bet you never had a date like this before. He's one of a kind." Yeah, what a real treat. This was a first date, and my date was just basking in the praise from his uncle. Alabama? My friend and I were just watching this all go down, politely smiling while these chuds were preening over themselves. What the fuck? What the hell does that mean? What is this, British? What a sentence. It was finally time for the movie. Fantastic Mr. Fox. And as my friend, my date and I were heading into the theater, the uncle pulls my best friend aside, or my friend aside. He explains to her, "My boy is a big man and needs some privacy for his hot date." This was before cell phones, so the most my friend could do was wait with his uncle as they sat in the lobby of the theater. I noticed that my friend was missing and tried to go check on her. My date grabbed my wrist and pulled me down onto his lap, then wrapped his arms around me with a mumbled reply of, "She's probably getting snacks. We'll be fine without her." This is getting weird. Against my better judgment, I agreed to stay seated, slowly sliding off his lap and onto my seat. He didn't seem pleased with that, trying to get me back up onto his lap, even resorting to whining like a puppy and sticking his bottom lip out way too far. Yuck. By this time, the theater was filling up with families and couples, most with young kids. I told him to stop being weird and to watch the movie that was now starting. We got maybe 5 minutes into the movie before he puts an arm around my shoulder and tries to kiss. Not a peck on the cheek, but a full makeout with my cheek meat. Cheek meat? I turn to tell him to stop, and then he tries to make out with me. I push him to the side and tell him he's gross for wanting to make out with a bunch of kids all around us. He started whining and pouting again. So I got up and left. I found my friend outside with the date's uncle and told her that we were leaving. The uncle proceeds to attempt an explanation about his nephew's behavior, saying that he's only been on dates with his waifus and is used to his body pillow reacting a certain way. I need 1 second. No. No. Kitchen, you're making me angry. You have to wet me, kiss your cheek, or I'll have to ban you from my Discord server. I will cancel the Nitro on the Discord server if you do not get back on my WAP right now. Let's just say my uncle owns Discord. All right, God, please, can it stop here? If there is more to this horrendous experience, I might freak out a little bit. I might have to lose my shit. Needless to say, didn't give him a second chance and never looked back. Okay, thank God. Next entry. A shrine. A shrine with an unexpected twist. I don't like this. This is a date from back when I was at university. I was a fashion designer, a fashion design major, and I would mostly date / hang out with other art majors because of the proximity. What the fuck is happening with my hair all of a sudden? What is this? What is happening here? Get back up there. The fuck was that? Music's very fitting. This is a date. Wait, shit. I forgot we already went part way through this. I'm scrolling through Tinder one day because I'm bored, and it's fun to see who's around you. And I find this guy. He's 6'2", probably not, has a dog in his pictures, and has a funny bio. He's a sculpture major. Didn't know that was a thing. So I swipe right, and it's a match. We hit it off, liking the same things, talking about art school stresses, and also having pretty decent conversations. Keeping up communication for a Tinder match. Green flags, right? Wrong. Wrong. We talk for about a week before deciding to meet up. All the while, nothing of concern sticks out to me. He invites me to his studio in the sculpture department to hang out and then go grab dinner later. He tells me he's finishing up a few plaster pours for his final, but that I'm still good to come over. I walked into his studio, and when I tell you, the mask I had to put on my face to hide my shock was strong. I went to art school, so it takes a lot to catch me off guard, but this definitely threw me for a loop. Mid ad 60-second ad out of nowhere. The studio is about 5 foot by 8 foot, and it has a floor to ceiling shelves filled with plaster toes. Full feet flex toes, bent out of shape, every possible foot position known to man. He had a plaster sculpture of it. I look around and try to be polite about it when asking. He starts going on this tangent about feet can be expressive, and you can really tell how a person is feeling based on the position of their feet. The grippers. They speak to me. He had a whole 30-minute long speech about it, pulling art history into the mix as well. I was actually impressed he could talk about feet that long. His final project was about feet, if you couldn't guess. And the things he was finishing pouring were more toe molds. He then looks at me, then down at the sandals I was now regretting wearing, and says, I can tell what your feet are saying. Your grippers. They're talking to me. There's gonna be some weird out of context clips in this stream, huh? I don't know what he thought they were saying, but the energy in the room changed, and I was already pulling out my phone to send the SOS call. Text to my besties. This man looks me dead in the eyes with a low voice and says, "Your feet are begging to be on display." I'm gonna lose it. I don't even wait for a fake call to come through before I excuse myself and bolt out of the building. Don't date art majors, duly noted. Your feet are telling me that they need to be molded. No way. Your feet are telling me that you would actually have sex with me right now. I mean, it's what the feet say. It's what the feet are saying. I'm just the twans waiter. Next entry. My boyfriend is missing? Trigger warning, mission people. Like Catholics or? Missing people. I'm pretty sure they mean missing people. Christian jump scare. I was dating someone a few years back. Let's call them John. Both of us are trans guys, and we'd been dating about 4 months when this happened. When we started dating, I had mentioned that I was polyamorous, willing to date multiple people, but that I would remain monogamous if they weren't comfortable with poly stuff. They said they weren't, so we stayed exclusive. Cut to 4 months later, we've just gotten back from a trip to the mountains, and I'm simply chilling at home. Simply chilling. Big chilling. I get a text from him saying that one of his friends, we'll name him Bob, has confessed to having a crush on him, and he wants to try being poly. I say I'm not comfortable because he only wants to be poly now that he has a second person to date. Fair enough. He says that that's fine, and I go about my day, continuing to simply chill in my home. That night, I get a text from his mom. Apparently, John had gone missing. He's been seen with his friend. Now, obviously, I have no clue what's going on. What's going on? But now I'm clearly worried. I fall asleep. I get a text from him that just says, I don't think we're going to work out. I'm going to date Bob. So I'm like, okay, but where are you? No answer, of course. The police are involved at this point, which is not fun. Turns out they were hiding out at a friend of Bob's house, and they got found at a gas station nearby. Why the fuck were they like running away? Cut to about 3 months later, I get a text from him again. He's pregnant and wants to get back together. At this point, I'm just kind of floored. And also, I'm already dating someone new. He tells me he's staying with his mom again, and he's broken up with Bob, and that he regrets breaking up with me. I tell him I'm sorry that happened, but I'm already in another relationship. He never replied, and I haven't heard from him since. He did have a baby girl, and he seems to be doing okay from what I've seen through socials. So I guess it's a happy ending? Why did they run away, though? Why did him and Bob like run away like Bonnie and Clyde? Wild. What a story. Next entry. How many are there? Ether, are you still here? How many more of these are there? Crush almost made me have a threesome with Ryan Reynolds? Excuse me? What? There's no way it's actually him, right? Does he have like a... Here I am on a walk to the store, and I see my crush, and I say to myself that I should ask her out. And with enough courage, I asked her out, and she said, sure. I then asked, okay, where would you like to go out to? And she said, how about let's just go to my house? When I heard those words, I was thinking, holy shit, it's time. So then I responded with a simple, epic. Then followed her back to her apartment, and she says, follow me to my bedroom and wait there. At this point, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just sit on my phone till then. And after a few minutes go by, she drags in 3 cardboard cutouts of Ryan Reynolds with fucking dildos super glued on their cutouts and says, you, me, and Ryan are going to have a fun time and with no escape. Bro? Once I heard those words and looked at the dildos on the Ryan Reynolds cardboards, I fucking bolted it out of there and then find out as I'm running through her apartment that she worships Ryan Reynolds like a cult with pictures of her and him cropped in the same pictures with some shitty Photoshop, along with a strand of hair in a container labeled Ryan's Hair Heart. After I saw that, I got out of there and ran home and am now traumatized with what happened that day, with Ryan's blank stare still haunting me. Woo! Whoa! Yeah! You and me and Ryan are... There's no way, right? There were 650 submissions. And roughly half got approved, so maybe 300. Oh my God. Holy fuck. What? I mean, I'm having fun, whatever. Title, The Date. Ominous. Shout out to the mods for pruning the submissions, by the way. Everybody give a round of applause to the mods for helping with the content. Big appreciated. That's a terrifying one. To be fair, a guy asked a girl on a date, and then when he asked where she wanted to go, she immediately said, let's go to my place. And while that's like half of straight males' dreams, that's a red flag, man. That's a red flag if a girl gets told by a guy to do that. So, I mean, that is sussy. I'm afraid to ask what some of the ones that got denied were. Were they just not entertaining or just like not actual things? Or bad, like could not read on a stream. Oh, cool. Yeah, literal crimes. Yeah, I don't know if we want to do that. There's a bit of lightheartedness to this, and I don't think we want to go down that path. So thank you, mods. Let's read the date. A lot of people just lying, saying this is a fake story at the end. Bruh. So anyway, I lied. Thanks for letting me on your stream. What do you think? We don't vet these? Dork. Anyway, thanks for reading my story. This is my name. This is my Twitch channel. I stream every day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 1 p.m. to 1:20 p.m. because my mom tells me to log off. So basically, there was this one time I went on a date with this guy that was in my history class. And I had been friends with him and some of his older friends for a little while, but I didn't know him as well as the other guys. But I knew he was kind of weird. I'm sorry, I'm a bit, I don't know. I just don't fit in here. And that's saying something coming from me. Oh no. But whenever we were learning about E-Wars, what the fuck does that mean? What? Maybe just European wars? Yeah. When we were learning about European wars, he always sided with Russia and the fact that they should have won. Anyways, what is he, a sleeper agent? When we went on the date, we got food and it was planning out to be a normal date, right? But no. He decides, hey, let's go to my house. Nope. So I'm like, sure, yeah, let's go to your house, buddy. But here's the thing, neither of us could drive, so his dad had to drive us, which was bad because I didn't know that his dad was my OBGYN. Anyways, we go to his house after a very awkward car ride. And God, when I tell you, when I walked into his room, I immediately wanted to leave. This motherfucker had a collection of Russia merch, not even as a joke either. Like, he has USSR hats, shirts, 3 of the flags all across his damn room, and streamers. I'm not kidding. The whole room was just Russian-themed gifts. A Russian-themed gift shop. Even worse, there was a shrine of Putin with the Jesus Putin candles and everything. And I asked him what it was all for, and he said, I will always serve communist Russia, and then saluted. Mans wasn't even Russian either. He was a white Caucasian man. And he stood there for a good 5 minutes just saluting to the flag. And listen, I have nothing against Russians, all right? But this kid was like a diehard Putin fan, and he proceeded to tell me how he wanted to have intercourse with Putin, and then asked me if I would role play as Putin so he could live out his dreams of having intercourse with Putin. I have never called my mom so fast in my damn life. Anyways, I have a restraining order against him now because he tried to break into my house after I left. Hate that. Hate it. Like a lot. Hate it a lot. That's wild. What's going on with white people, man? You know what I mean? Why can't we just like have a hobby? instead of like inserting ourselves into other cultures. Why can't we just like just play Apex Legends or something? That's what a bunch of straight white men do at this point. Let's do that. Or the new COD, so you can talk about how Nadia is cheating. Those are like the two things that I think like very straight white men do at this point. I'm not sure what else. Anyway. Next entry. Awkward walk home. When this story takes place, I am not too sure exactly when, as it has been a few years, but I was in 10th grade. I was gathering all my stuff into my book bag, waiting for the bell to ring to signal the day's end during what felt like a too short of a study hall. Just as the bell rang, my friend bursted into the room like a raging bull. Unlike a bull, it wasn't out of anger or anything negative, she was excited. As my friend charged in with excitement, I was finishing packing my stuff. At this time, she was talking away to the sweet old lady who let me and others be in her cozy room, such as for lunch as well as study hall class. While I admired my friend's excitement, I was tired and wanted zero bit of it. Unfortunately, she noticed me. After some talking that I don't remember, I had somehow agreed to let her walk to my house. Which I don't know why she would, since I lived on the opposite side of the city to the school, but whatever, I was too tired to think. As we made it up the hill to my grandma's, I felt off going around the block or so to my actual house with her still there. Now, I will say this, I am very awkward with physical touch, so I don't like it or giving it. That's fair. Like pokes or hugs, etc. But she took my hand and swung me around so my back was to her chest. Placed her one hand around my waist and the other pushed to the back of my head onto her chest. I'm very short, 5'1". She was taller. She said, "Thanks for letting me walk you home, gorgeous." She then proceeded to lean down, and I kid you not, lick below my ear and cheek. I think it is fair to say I royally freaked out internally. I am very happy to say I just pushed her away and explained to her that I didn't like it. Better than the internal scream going on. Fair to say, never interacted again. You. Gross. Next entry. Date steals my dog, so I send them to the hospital. I'd say that's a fair response. This guy invited me to his favorite restaurant, which he wouldn't tell me the name or where it was because it was a surprise. We walked there and it's a hot dog stand. He asks for 2 hot dogs as soon as they arrive. He eats his in one fell swoop, then rapidly yanks mine from my hand and just throats the whole thing down without breaking eye contact. Oh, that kind of dog. I swear he didn't chew once in the entire date. He asked for 2 more hot dogs. Once we are done with the food, he asks me to pay because he didn't bring any money. So I pay the $4 for the hot dogs and we walk to a nearby park. Blizzy Goblin Robber. At his request, we lay on the grass under the shade of a tree and talk about life while looking at the clouds, I'm assuming. So, classic romantic shit. Then he turns to me and gets closer to my face while looking at my eyes lovingly and says, I'm allergic to grass. The date ends with me taking this itchy, blotchy, and bloated balloon of a man to the ER while he tries not to choke. It's like going to like those fondue restaurants and being like, you're like halfway through, and as he's like putting in like a piece of fucking Gouda, he's like, I'm lactose intolerant. What soap did I use? Dawn? It's the only one that rice is good with. I made some rice for myself too, though, because that chicken, dude, that chicken I crock potted the other night, oh, it's really good. It's so fucking soft and shit. I'm gonna put it over some of that rice. Oh, it's gonna be so good. All right. Next entry in the Freak Files, shall we? A summary of my shit love life. I went on a date with my coworker. Dangerous. It went as shitty as you can imagine. During work hours, we clicked. Talked and geeked out over video games and art styles and character designs. So when he asked me on a date, I agreed, because who doesn't want a partner who's as into games as you? Fair. We planned on going to this little movie theater with an attached arcade, agreeing to see a horror movie. Since I lived further out, I offered to come pick him up, and he reluctantly agreed. Oh. Woman doing man thing. So the day of the date comes, and I get ready. Go to pick him up and his mother is waiting outside. We are both over 18. Nothing wrong with staying with your parents, but his mother was standing outside so she could be the first to see me and decide if I was a good Mormon child, as if we were like 15. Nothing wrong with the religion, but I didn't know he was Mormon. He never told me, and I really wish he had, since I intended on this date potentially leading up to something more. Nice. His mother hated me, said a few choice things. I tried to be nice and polite, and he rushed me to the car when he realized I was here. I tried to ignore that massive red flag and drove to the theater. Well, I paid for the tokens to play air hockey, saying since he bought tickets, I pay for everything else. He didn't look pleased about it when he agreed, but I ignored it for the most part, offering to play some air hockey. I'm a monster with air hockey. Growing up with a competitive older brother made sure I wasn't a gracious winner. So when I managed to slaughter his ass, I was admittedly being an asshole about it. Apologized when I realized that I was going too far. We've all been there. We got snacks, popcorn, and slushies and went to the movie. Wow, that's like $60 in the movie theater. And went to the movies to see the tail end of previews. And I said how excited I was to see this movie, that I was a huge fan of horror. He responded that it wasn't his favorite, but he'd watch it. We moved on. Talking about how Hollow Knight and a few fighting games he was into. And when the movie started, I excitedly hushed him and we started watching. He didn't stop talking. Have I told you guys that when Hannah and I went to watch the first Sonic movie, there was this like literally like a 40-year-old couple doing like comedic commentary the entire time. The entire movie. Huh? Yeah, like literally the whole movie. Yeah, not even like between themselves, like outward commentary to get to clearly have like the audience react. So same. He went on and on about different things, about the lore of his favorite characters in the obscure games, his favorite music, telling people to shut up when they shushed him. He even told me that the entire plot line of JoJo. Wow. So the whole movie. The whole movie then. All of it. A horror movie. The whole movie. A whole horror movie, and he's sitting there talking about JoJo. So anyway, when Jotaro says aura, he says it a lot because it's per punch. And basically, it's like he's throwing his fists a lot into Dio. And then Dio says, Muda. Which just say the adversaries. What the hell is that thing that Dio does at the very end where he throws the fucking bulldozer onto Jotaro? What does he fucking say? It's like Roda Roller. Yeah, road roller. But he says Roda Roller. Roda Roller. What a great line. I just love the idea of the guy in the theater, like saying the lines how they were spoken. He's like, and then Jotaro does this thing where he's like upset with like the situation or he's annoyed by it. So he goes, yada yada. My God. Oh man. All of it. All of JoJo, because I mentioned it was long and confusing and I didn't want to watch it. When a staff member came to remove him, he wrapped me up into it, saying that I was his soon-to-be girlfriend and how dare he interrupt our date. Listen, I'm about to secure a waifu, and you are really causing a big roadblock in this process right now. If you do not stop it, let's just say that my dad owns Xbox and he will blacklist your Apex Legends account. Am I making myself queer? clear, not the. I just realized that sounded similar. That was a little too close. Sorry. Don't gauge to that. Come on. A little too close. Come on. Use the context. I'm sure Twitter won't. What a story. I had told this man previously that I wasn't exactly a woman, non-binary. Good for you. I go by they, them, and I don't like the term girlfriend or boyfriend. When he called me his soon-to-be girlfriend, I stood up, told him to call his mommy for a ride home, and just left. Nice. Wow, that's like the one time when Dio and... Wow. It's like when it's like when Jolene Joestar doesn't want the guy to flirt with her, so he was like, Jolene will be mine, and then Jolene was like, go away. He came into work the next time we had a shift together and tried convincing me to go on another date with him to give him a chance. And it got to the point our manager asked if I wanted to go home or if I wanted him to send the guy home. He followed me to my car, and when I threatened to use my brand new taser, he left me alone. I haven't seen him since, as he quit. Happy ending at least. Wow. Listen. The worker at the movie theater ruined the date. It wasn't me. We were going somewhere. And it was all because of the movie manager. Which to say, I have a lot of Discord kittens. And they think I am very attractive. So you would be pretty stupid to let this one get past you. I will be the one that got away, to say the least. Next entry. First date to the movies gone wild. We just read that, but let's go on. It happened a few years ago, much simpler times. This was my first date with a boy who I sat next to in class. Look at the, hold on, look at the face. Oh, never mind, she moved. Birdie was looking out the window making a face, and she was like, her lip was tucked in. Very cute. She's so weird, bro. My sister came over yesterday to like give me some stuff, and the entire time while my sister and I were just sitting there talking, Birdie was just going rah 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 rah. Like she never does it with Hannah and I in the house, but then somebody comes over and they don't give her attention. She's just like rah 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 rah. She just talks. Never when it's just us. That's what she was doing earlier. All right. First date to the movies gone wild. Sat next to a boy in class. I'll call him Max. Max was the weird kid of the class. Good start. Good start to be labeled as such. He disturbed lessons, fidgeted a lot, and was pretty antisocial. No one messed with him, however, because he was 195 centimeters tall, British jump scare, 6'4", 6'5", roughly, and had a green, I believe, belt in karate. We weren't really friends. Acquaintances would be a better way to describe a relationship usually. He would just blankly stare at me in class and leave quietly. That's weird. But one day, he waited for me after school. Max walked me to my home, carried my school bag, and left. I was a little confused, but thought he just wanted to hang out. So I just let him do his thing. It also might be because I was terrified of confrontation of any kind. But let's gloss over that. It became an everyday thing. Finally, on Valentine's Day, Max came to class in a tuxedo, gave me a rose, and asked me out in front of the whole class. Oh my God, Max is dripping in front of the crew. I accepted because I didn't have the heart to say no, and I was scared shitless. Social pressure bad. Red flag. He invited me to the movies to see the newly released at the time Zootopia. I was excited because this was the first time I would go to the movies without my parents. As we walk in the building, he gives me 3 tickets. What's that third one for, Max? What's that third one for, Max? I was confused as I thought it would only be the 2 of us. Max pulls out 3 more tickets. Now I was even more confused. I asked him about the amount of tickets, but he just mumbled something under his breath. I didn't pry further. Again, scared of confrontation. We walk and find our seats. There is not a soul around. I try to start up conversation or make a joke, and it becomes abundantly clear that he is just ignoring me. Finally, the ads before the movies start, cutting the silence. The movie was fine. I liked it the first time. Say what now? We walk out of the theater. I start walking to the exit. I thought that was it. Where are you going? He asked me. It was not. I bought tickets for 2 more. Was I supposed to just walk away? Of course not. And so we watched Zootopia 3 times. I learned that he has seen it at least 15 times before. After that, we went to his house to hang out. His mom was home as well, so it was quite awkward. In his room, he turned on his PC to put a movie on. What movie, Max? Let's just say I like Zootopia. On his Nick Wilde wallpaper desktop, there was the normal stuff and an MP4 file titled Zootopia. I asked him to maybe watch something else. Max exploded. He started screaming at me that he is not gay and not a furry. What? Suddenly he started to cry. I comforted him as best as I could as an awkward teen. In the end, we watched Zootopia again. To get out of the situation, I pretended to get a call from my mom and left to go home. After profusely apologizing and telling him my dad was going to pick me up. After that day, I avoided him. I stayed at school longer, went over to my best friend to study, just everything I could think of. Eventually, he left my school at the end of the year, and we didn't speak to each other again until... Why do you gotta move when I... Yo. Excellent timing, my man. We're doing something new here at twitch.tv/Sneegsnag. Something I call the Freak Files. So basically, a bunch of my audience submitted bad date experiences they've had. And I am reading them. I just tried to get a shot of my dog being cute on my giant beanbag, but she walked away as I did it, which is very typical. But what I will do is I will scroll all the way back to the top of this story because I just ended on a cliffhanger, but I need you guys to be tuned into this because it is quite the story. Strap in. First date to the movies gone wild. It happened a few years ago, much simpler times. This was my first date with a boy I sat next to in class. I'll call him Max. Max was the weird kid of the class. He disturbed lessons, fidgeted a lot, and was pretty antisocial. No one messed with him. However, he was a lot taller, or it was because he was tall. They gave the measurements in European standards, which British jump scare, we'll get over it. 6'4" to 6'5" roughly. And had a green, I believe, belt in karate. We weren't really friends. Acquaintances would be a better way to describe our relationship. One day, he waited for me after school. Max walked to my home, carried my school bag, and left. I was a little confused, but thought he would just wanted to hang out. So I just let him do his thing. It also might be because I was terrified of confrontation of any kind, but let's gloss over that. It became an everyday thing. Finally, on Valentine's Day, Max came to class in a tuxedo, gave me a rose, and asked me out in front of the whole class. I accepted because I didn't have the heart to say no, and I was scared shitless. He invited me to the movies to see the newly released at the time Zootopia. I was excited because this was the first time I'd go to the movies without my parents. As we walk in the building, he gives me 3 tickets. I was confused, as I thought it would be only 2 of us. Max pulls out 3 more tickets. Now I was even more confused. I asked him about the amount of tickets, but he just mumbled under his breath. I didn't pry further. Again, scared of confrontation. We walked to find our seats. There is not a soul around, and I try to start up conversation and make a joke, and it's abundantly clear that he is just ignoring me. Finally, the ads before the movie start. Cutting the silence, the movie was fine. I liked it. The first time. We walk out of the theater. I start to walk to the exit. I thought that was it. Where are you going? He asked me. It was not. I bought tickets for 2 more. Was I supposed to walk away? Of course not. And so we watched Zootopia 3 times. I learned that he has seen it at least 15 times before. After that, we went to his house to hang out. His mom was home as well, so it was quite awkward. In his room, he turned on his PC to put a movie on. What movie do you think he had in mind, chat? On his Nick Wild wallpaper desktop, there was the normal stuff and an MP4 file titled Zootopia. I asked him to maybe watch something else, and Max exploded. He started screaming at me that he is not gay and not a furry. Suddenly, he started to cry. I comforted him as best as I could. As an awkward teen. In the end, we watched Zootopia again. To get out of the situation, I pretended to get a call from my mom and left. Hold on. Zootopia is 1 hour and 48 minutes long. 108 minutes times 4. So this person watched 440 minutes. No, 432 minutes of the same movie in one day. 7 hours. In one day. Wild. After profusely apologizing and telling him my dad was going to pick me up, after that day, I avoided him. I stayed at school longer, went over to my best friends to study, just everything I could think of. Eventually, he left my school at the end of the year, and we didn't speak to each other again. Until this is where we stopped. Cliffhanger. Last month, Max messaged me apologizing for the date that happened years ago at this point. I laughed and told him that it was okay. We chatted for a bit and he is doing very well. He moved to another country, came out as gay, is in a loving relationship, and is in therapy for his autism and ADHD. Wow, this took a great turn. He's also openly a furry now. Who could have known? Life is truly a weird thing. Wow, actually a good turn. Didn't expect that. I think Max might have known a little before he had actually known, if I'm being honest. But good for him. Sometimes the plot twists go in the right direction, guys. Next entry of the Freak Files. My boyfriend dumped me on our date for our 2-year anniversary. I'm assuming the rest of that is. Before we started, it is important to note that this guy had been my best friend for like 4 years beforehand. So us dating made a lot of sense. We had been on dates before this and they all went super well. So I was super excited for this one because it was for our 2-year anniversary and we were getting Italian food. I thought nothing could go wrong. 2-year anniversary, Italian food. Match made in heaven, really. I was horribly lied to. It was so bad. We got there and he was so awkward and standoffish. He barely made it a conversation, and even the waiters were feeling bad for me at this point. Not to mention, I looked really overdressed compared to him. Here I was thinking my night couldn't get any worse. Again, I was horribly lied to. He then proceeded to break up with me at the table in front of everybody. I was so blindsided that I started crying, ruining the makeup I had on, and then he gets up and leaves. Now, this isn't necessarily bad because we had just broken up, except he told me he would pay for dinner. So I had no money, no credit card, no Apple Pay to pay for the food. The bill was 75 euros. European jump scare. So this was an issue. I had to call my parents to bring me my card so I could pay, thus making it my worst date ever. Damn, what a fuck. Pounds. Whatever, guys. That's pounds, not euros. It's different. You stupid American. You're saying the wrong currency. Why don't you go to your schools and have a gun drawn? You stupid American. Why don't you go to the grocery store and have a 9mm drawn upon you? Next entry. I did not realize I was on a date, and then suddenly I was. Okay. So I've been friends with this guy since like 5th grade when I used to beat him up at lunch. And I've known he was attracted to me for a bunch of that time. I'm 23 now. I made it clear I'm not interested. He knows I'm a sex-repulsed asexual. Fair enough, King. A few years ago, he'd just broken up with his long-term first serious girlfriend and was in a bit of a spiral. So me and my best friend decided to take him to the Water Lantern Festival. Oh, isn't that really cute? as a cheer up sort of thing. Unfortunately, my friend had something come up and couldn't go. Whatever. No big deal. We arrive at the park and he writes angsty poetry on a water lantern and sends it into the lake and asks if I'm still single and talks about wanting to find a new girlfriend and implies that the right girl could fix him maybe? Please fix me. I'm a wreck. Fix me, mommy. Then it starts raining, so we go sit in my car to wait it out. He proceeds to look around my car, then turns to me and says, "You know, this would be a really good car to have sex in." Which is a blatant lie because I drive a 2-door Volkswagen Beetle. Anyway, we hang out for another hour and then go home, and we are still friends to this day. And a similar thing happened last week, L moment. I love that that's the part you're most mad about. It's just not a good car for that. He's wrong. He's wrong, okay? What an idiot. Fuck that guy. My Volkswagen Beetle is terrible for sex, and he knows it. He's just being nice. Next entry. A series of unfortunate events. Good books. Went on a date with a childhood friend. Known him since grade 4. British jump scare. Went on this date in grade 12 when he finally got the brains to realize not all friends behaved as we did. Damn. He picked me up half an hour late because he was building up the nerve to come. We then bought tickets to the wrong movie, but we were too anxious to leave to see the right movie. Dinner after the movie went well until the waiter spilt my drink on my lap. And in standing to help me, my date spilt his food on the floor. And driving home, he took the wrong way and we were an hour later than predicted. We didn't go on an official date again for a year. We've been dating since that day, and since writing this, have been engaged 2 months to the day. Nice. Love that for you. Tinder isn't all shit. Do you know Tinder? Well, I was on it for a year before I found a decent guy. Personality seemed okay and he didn't look terrible either. We'll call him John. John introduced me to your content. John, are you here? Are you in the room right now? John? John and I were messaging for about a week, or for about a week before we agreed on a time and a place of meeting. Pizza Hut, not the real place. What? Maybe a local place, whatever. At 4 p.m., I take an Uber and get there a little early. Problem, it's the wrong Pizza Hut. Classic. And it's 30-ish minutes away from the right one. I text John and tell him what happened and that I'll probably be a little late. He says it's fine and that he'll be waiting. So basically, our meeting is now scheduled for around 4:30. I get there 15 minutes early and see him with another girl. John? I don't know if I want you to watch my content anymore, John. I'm not confrontational. I'm not confrontational, so I go outside to text him I'm here and see what he does. He comes out to get me, brings me inside, and actually introduces me to this girl. Call her Jessie. She's his coworker, and that he didn't know she'd be here, but thought he'd say hi while he waits. We had a great date, and I even got to continue seeing John. Fast forward about 4 years, I am engaged, and Jessie will be my maid of honor. Okay, never mind. It went well. W, John. John, you can stay. We're keeping you. We're keeping you, John. John can stay. Sorry, put the pitchforks away, chat. Put them away. Get him down. Put him down. John's chill. Next entry. I don't know how many more there are. I don't know how many we have. Am I reading this title right? My ex shit on my keyboard for revenge. What? Me, 22 male, messed up my ex's 23 female steak and accidentally cooked it at medium rare instead of medium. Big fucking difference, Karen. I apologized and made her another one since I brought 3 steaks as my mom was meant to be there, but she dropped out last minute. I thought nothing of it and went to play some games on PC after the meal whilst she sat on our bed watching TikTok. I then got up from my chair to get a drink from the kitchen. When I was about to go back to our room, she sprinted out of the front door while shouting, "You deserved it." Me, being confused, went back to the bedroom, only to find that she shat on my keyboard. Her knowing that it was quite important to me as I spent a lot of time playing games. After around 24 hours of her ignoring my messages, she came back to the house. I put all of her stuff in cardboard boxes next to the front door. This was me showing that I wanted to break up with her. She then brought me a new keyboard to try to make up for the damages, but our relationship was already going downhill fast, and that was the final straw. Do you think so? I personally think her freaking out to an extreme degree over a medium rare steak as opposed to a medium is a bit downhill, but poo-poo on the keyboard is definitely up there with it. I'm now with someone a lot less crazy and use the new keyboard she got me. It's been a year and she since blocked me on all social media platforms, so I don't know what's happening to her at the moment. You're in the shot, by the way. I don't know if you want to be like, as you're shoving rice in your mouth. I want to get, there's rice for me, right? Tell by your face. You didn't take all the rice. She's giving me that face like she wants to lie that she took all the rice, but I can tell on her face that she didn't. I think I have to make a submission. Next entry. Ted Cruz and the Surprise Woods. Excuse me? What? When I was in high school, I got set up for a surprise date. Guys, stop doing this. Let people find their own dates. Stop being a matchmaker. You don't know somebody that well. God, this is weird. Just let them find out their own shit. Dorks. Whatever. I was replying to a Discord. Oh. I was set up for a surprise date. It was supposed to have been a group of us going to see a movie, then hanging out after. It wasn't that. Instead, when I got to the theater, it was only one guy. This guy didn't really hang out with us often, but he was kind of part of this group, so it was fine. We were about to go to get tickets for the movie, I can't remember which, when he turned to me saying he had a way better idea of what we could do. I went along with it because the one friend I wanted to see that movie with wasn't there. We head over to the food court. The theater is in a mall. Grab some food, and before we sit down, he once again turns to me and asks if I'd be down to eat outside. It was a really nice day out, so I don't see why not. Some location context. The mall we were at has this woodsy area beside it with some picnic tables. It's a whole thing. Anyway, at this point, we were outside, and instead of picking one of the picnic tables in the sun, he directs me to one a little bit farther into the woods. Girl, run. Being a people pleaser, I go along with it. Okay. I rationalize that I can still see out of the woods, and there are people nearby. So it's fine. We were eating our food, vibing, talking, and everything was fine until the guy nonchalantly said, I think I'm the perfect mix between the two Teds. Which Teds do you mean by that? Me not knowing what the fuck he's on about, kindly ask him to clarify. Ted Cruz and Ted Bundy. So two serial killers. Oh no. Because I look like a skinny Ted Cruz and am suave like Ted Bundy. Does everybody know why Ted Bundy was suave? There was a reason. If I didn't think I was going to get murdered before, I definitely thought that now. So my 10th grade brain thought the best solution was to subtly get out my phone. I was not subtle. And act like I was getting a call from my mom telling me I had to be home. And then I got in my car and left. I found out the next day of school that the whole group had agreed not to go because they thought we'd look cute together. Stop doing this. Stop. This is like the 5th story today from this, where we have read a surprise date or a friend hooking them up together, and the person is like insane. Stop. Stop doing this. I have not talked to any of these people since grade 10 and don't plan to, as you should. First ever date experience, and it sure as hell was a weird one. Just a little bit. Wowie. Wowie zowie. D and D's nuts and the hunt for pancake. What? I'm not one to go on dates. So the thought of me walking into nothing less than a rundown fast food joint and giving the awkward as hell guy behind the register my phone number, impossible. Abysmal, quite possibly the most haunting thing I've ever done. You have to understand, at this point in my life, I recognize that I am gay as fuck. What? Interesting. Good for you, King. That's just the way it is. You want to know what fully cemented this fact for me? What made me that realization crystal clear? Well, I'll tell you, Dungeons and Dragons. D&D and the hunt for a mythical pancake. Long setup short. My friends and I had gone to the only burger adjacent spot in our seaside town, and I, the complete idiot of a freak that I am, was so in shock that any human being would compliment my D&D themed pins on my jacket that I was so blinded by a fellow nerd starting conversation that at the simple nudging of my best friend, I gave a complete stranger my phone number and said he was cute. And then I thought we would get along. Was I correct in this statement? No, I was not. I would soon discover why. I text this guy for a while back and forth. We talk about our days, shows, and podcasts we like, and then finally he poses the idea that we go on a date and asks me to pick where. As someone who has constant fear when going on dates with men, I knew I had to pick a place that would make not only me comfortable, but would keep conversation flowing. What's the best conversation starter imaginable? Fish. So I chose the aquarium. As a well-known aquarium, no less, primarily because I wanted to have a nice day, and more than anything, I wanted to see Pancake. What is going on? Pancake, as I have chosen to dub her over the years, is an at least 9 foot long from tail to tip stingray that lives at the aquarium and owns my damn heart. If I have the chance to see Pancake, I will. Good for you, King. If I can get close to her, I will. If I can give my life in the name of her honor, by God, I will. So I invite this guy out on a date to the aquarium, and I am immediately put at odds. We had said we would meet outside, buy tickets, and go in together. However, he didn't wait for me at all and went inside ahead of me. The awkward part being there are only scheduled times to enter the aquarium. So I had to wait outside an extra 30 minutes while he just awkwardly sat inside and passively aggressively told me to hurry up because he was bored. I wanted some... I will do it, don't worry. When I finally made it inside, he dead stared, looked at me and asked if I was going to reimburse him for the ticket since this date was my idea and he would just pay for the next date. But I can look past that, you know, communication errors on a first date, they happen all the time. However, I don't think I can look past the other elements of this date that made me want to throw myself to the sharks. First of all, you're nothing but a trashy hoe. Second of all, you suck dick. Third of all, you're not a boss ass bitch. You're a boss ass trashy hoe. He didn't want to look at anything. I've never met Sonic the Hedgehog in the flesh, but if I did, he would have been my date at that moment because he was uninterested in everything he saw. Sea otters, nope. Puffins, nope. Beautiful jellyfish that I was super excited to see that are potentially immortal, absolutely not. I made comments about the fish I really liked and he would completely plow through any conversation I tried to start. It felt like he didn't want to get to know me or the things I liked at all. Even worse was the fact that when he did comment on the fish, it was to find what he considered to be the ugliest fish in the bunch and claim with a jerking point of his finger that it was me. Now, did I think he was joking? Kind of. It felt weird as hell, though, considering I kept comparing him to the hyperactive and excitable otters. Meanwhile, I'm like the nastiest looking grouper in the bunch, but I digress. What truly wrecked me, however, was the fact that this man could not give a single flying fuck about Pancake. I love this giant ass stingray more than anything else in the aquarium, and he couldn't care less. He was so unimpressed, in fact, that he literally dragged me away from the giant tank before I even got to see her. Because clearly there would be more interesting things around the aquarium somewhere, right? After all, why would anyone want to come outside in the heat to see some old stingray? I missed out on the giant 9-foot long love of my life because of a milk toast of a man with no personality. Refused to acknowledge how fun aquariums really are. Get him. Even worse was the fact that this man could not make a decision to save his life when it was concerned his own well-being and food options. But he absolutely knew what was right for me to eat without even consulting me. He took almost 15 minutes to order something for himself, awkwardly chatting up a nice girl at the register and being slightly flirty with her while I'm standing right there. And he even making her uncomfortable. I've never seen a man try so hard to act like more like a macho man than him. All the while he proceeds to order me something I couldn't even eat because I was allergic. Man didn't even have the energy to ask me first. The entire time we sat at the pier, I couldn't get a word in edgewise. All he wanted to do was talk about the fact that although his college would be all paid for by his parents, he wanted to see how, I shit you not, the other half lived by working at a local fast food spot. It's a bit more than half, buddy. By a long shot. He literally wanted to observe people poorer than him because he didn't get it. When I tried to ask what his hobbies were, the only response I got was yachting. I'm a yacht guy. I'm a yacht guy. My family owns a spot on this pier. We like to yacht. Have you ever been on a yacht? Do you want to? He was like a damn boat boy NPC. I felt like I was in a fucking yacht advertisement for rich white boys with too much time on their hands. The guy proceeded to flex on how much money he had for the next 40 minutes. Meanwhile, when I finally could get a word in for once, I mentioned how much I loved aquariums and that I hoped that he had a nice time because of it. Because it meant a lot to me. I talked about coming to school in an area where I knew nobody and how being near sea life made me feel more comfortable than I had been in a while. This man turns to me, flashes the most off-putting smug grin I've ever seen, and has the audacity to say, "Wow, you're not like the other girls. I like that about you. You're different. You like fish." You like fish and I have a yacht. So let's go like catch you some. And you could be like quirky to them or whatever, right? Pretty girl, pretty birdie. No, you can't have my food. Bro. Jesus fucking Christ. I think I puked in my mouth. He must have seen my face of disgust because it kind of shut him up for a minute. Maybe he truly rethought his entire existence with that comment. I hope that was the reset his internal systems needed because I never heard a line so cringy in my entire life. Fuck being an NPC, this man was a walking Chad versus Virgin meme. I felt like I was being hunted by the ghost of some sea captain and I was gonna find my ass deep in Davy Jones' locker if I didn't agree with his gag-worthy statement. The guy never explained his reasoning, just put an arm around me and left me horrified at the thought that I was his mythical nerdy dream girl that took him to an aquarium he thought was ass. Oh my God. So we moved to part ways. The guy leans in for a kiss. I give him the most Lego man-esque hug I've ever had in my life. And he says we should do this again the following week. I proceed to ghost him for the next 2 weeks and have not heard from him in 2 years since. All in all, I learned that secret yacht boy that just want a quick fuck live among us. Among us? They're in our damn walls and they truly assume they are God's gift to the world. I also learned that, yeah, I do prefer dating women. Good for you. They at least would let me say hi to Pancake. Nice. Wow. What a roller coaster. What great storytelling, by the way. I don't know who this is in chat. You don't have to say who you are. Great story writing. Phenomenal. I loved it. Great chatting. Be right back. I'm going to get some rice for my chicken. She got real close to my fucking food. She ate some? No, she didn't. She was very close though. How much did she take? None. 3 stories to go? Oh. Look at my food though. She looked like she was eating. I don't think so. There's no mess or anything. She's not exactly a clean eater. In fact, we have a plastic mat or a silicone mat under our water because she spills so much water that we have to stop her from spilling it all over our floor. Next entry. The time I quite literally gave my date blue balls. Uh-oh. I was seeing this guy back in the fall of 2015-ish. And we spent the evening watching a spooky movie. But toward the end of it, he was acting kind of off. The next day, I got a text from him saying, "I'm sorry for last night, we need to talk," and assumed he wanted to break things off. When I mentioned this to him, he calls me freaking out, and it instead turns out that he has a condition that causes chronic, reoccurring testicular torsion, and that he sat through the entire movie feeling like someone kept kicking him in the balls. Stopped seeing him a little while after, but not because of the ball issue, Lamau. I mean, that's not what blues balls is. That is terrifying, though, because if you let that just happen for too long, you can lose your nut. Quite literally. Not in the fun way. You will literally bust a nut. And not the fun kind. Next entry. Possessed by red hair. Hello? Some very important information before the story starts is that I have red hair. I've been talking to this guy for a few weeks and he asked me on a date. I figured a date wouldn't hurt. I was very wrong. He was very religious, nothing wrong with that, and I went to his house to watch a movie with him. When he let me in, his mom was sitting at the table with a cross. I was nervously laughing and said hello. When she told me to sit down, turns out there was no date at all. It was an intervention about being possessed. She told me I was a witch because I had red hair and the devil was possessing me. I also was apparently bewitching her son. She told me she was trying to save my soul. I was confused and muttered, "What the hell?" And she freaked out and called me a devil worshiper. I just walked out and went home. One of the worst first dates I've ever had, 0 out of 10. The devil's in your jeans. Help me, guy I blindly follow. Do that thing where you die a couple of years, like a couple thousand years ago, and come back 3 days later and leave again and never come back again. Do it. Turn water into wine or whatever. I want the devil in my jeans. What do you mean by that? Next entry. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Girl. Bro, you know what happens sometimes now? Sometimes people will post their shitty unseasoned food, and I'll get indirects that are like, "Oh, they Sneeg seasoned it." What do you mean? It wasn't mine. I mean, it was an equal effort. Wow. Sneezing. You stop this right now.